Hey, this is Motorhead again. I've always thought that watching how people construct stuff, put stuff together, the different techniques they use, kind of neat to watch. So I thought I'd throw a little video here of some of the stuff I do on the Yak 55 build. Mainly just show cutting out a wing. The templates that I use are cut out of 1/8 inch masonite. You can see I've got the aileron cut out with the counterbalances. I trace these when I cut out one with counterbalances for indoor. I'll actually show you how I do it differently using the same template for an outdoor one. But I'll just run through this real quick, just in case any of you guys are curious what I do when I produce these. Standard 1.3 EPP, 9mm thick. As far as the knife I just use a standard little snappy blade, the kind you can snap off to get a new tip. I like using a real long blade. It allows me to get the angle down low when I cut, which makes it cut easier without tearing. Also, I use just this little knife sharpener. About once a kit or twice a kit I'll come through and just run it through about 3 times. And it just hones the edge on the knife, keeps it nice and sharp. And then of course when the tip gets dull, I'll just snap that off. And then maybe to about a little over 1 inch long, and then I'll just replace the whole blade. They're not too expensive, but I don't like going through them, constantly. As far as just cutting this, I'll just kind of cut through it real quick, and so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing here. There we go. Part of the trick is holding that the knife real nice and vertical. As you cut through it, that's how you get the nice straight lines. As when you first insert into the EPP, if you're not in an edge, a little bit of a sawing motion will help to drive the knife down through the EPP. And then just a straight draw, and you see I use a real high angle on that, again, to help it cut through the EPP without tearing. If you've got one of my kits, you'll notice 2 black little lines on the leading edge. I've got marked on my template where the nose piece goes, since there's nothing to line up to. So on my kits I always just take a pen and mark where that nose piece goes. Now I'm going to trim the inside edge of the aileron. Normally at this time I'd go ahead and route the spar slot in before I went any further. I've got my Dremel tool. I use this 3/16 round bit, makes a nice little round channel for it to drop down into. I've got the depth set so that it'll go through my masonite piece into the foam, just so the ball's underneath the surface. I'm going to skip that. On my template here also for the router, I've got another piece of masonite. I use that for my straight edge, and I've got my slot where the ends are the length of my spar slot, and then my router runs against this guide. That really speeds up. I don't have to mark the spar location or anything. I just start it up, drop it in, slide it across, and my spar slot's done. From there I have to make sure I flip the foam over, so we'll pretend I put the spar slot in there. I got to flip the foam over so that my chamfers on the ailerons are on the correct side from the spar slot. Okay, so I've got the root edge of the aileron cut. Make sure my template's lined up. I flip it around if I'm doing counterbalances. If I'm not doing counterbalances, then I keep it this way. So I'm going to cut this one out. This will be the outdoor version, so it does not have the aileron counterbalances. So I've set my template up. I'm just going to use my straight edge to actually cut the hinge line. I've laid it up with the template on the hinge line. Take my knife. You notice I won't cut towards my fingers anymore. What I'm going to do is put it on the straight edge and then tilt it so the blade's going back underneath the straight edge at about a 45-degree angle. And then just run it right along till I get to the end of the straight edge, which is the end of the aileron. Once there, I can't get the cut all the way down because of keeping the knife at an angle when I'm sliding it, so now I'll move it straight up and down and use a sawing motion to finish cutting the aileron out. Do the other one real quick. Sawing motion to get the blade down into the foam and straight across. Here's the other aileron. Now I'm going to take this, flip it around. Now I'm cutting the bevel on the back of the wing at the aileron joint. I've kind of got the feel now of where I put my my straight edge on here. I want the straight edge to go just past, maybe a millimeter past the actual edge of that bevel. Just because the knife blade, when it gets back under the foam, it seems to give it a pretty good cut if I do that. Cut that. Cut that, and then I'm going to come back in here and trim back to the bevel on that side, back to the bevel on that side, and then also finish out the cut on this side. And that's it. There's an EPP wing, ready to ship. Minus paint or whatever else I have to do to it, and of course I still have to put the slot in this one. So, hope you guys enjoy.